of. Let me share my screen and we will get started. Are you able to see my screen?
We can see that. Perfect.
Great. So let's get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. So Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening. Very warm welcome to all of you. Always good to be back after a bit of a break that we have on Saturday and Sunday. So let's get started with our Soul Soup segment. Give me a sec. I don't know. Okay, we'll get back. So as part of Soul Soup segment, we are talking about science of mind management on how to befriend our mind. And the tool that we are going to talk about today is leverage the resources God has blessed us with. What are these resources? I think we'll have to just think about it. It's like that when we get so many things, especially the human tendency is that under ordinary situations and circumstances, extraordinary things, they are taken as for granted. I think there was a pretty interesting experiment carried out. There's a guy, Joshua Bell, I think that was a New York railway station. So this guy, his tickets were selling for thousands of dollars, and the instrument that he was playing was worth thousands of dollars as well. So with the same instrument, this guy sat down at the metro station, New York metro station, and started playing the chords or whatever music he was playing. And people would come, somebody would look at him, somebody would not even pay attention. Some people cared to pop in a dollar or two. And the irony was the same person's tickets were selling for thousands of dollars a few days back, and the same stuff was being played in an ordinary setting, and that got overlooked and missed out. That is the story of our life as well. So let's talk about it and look at it in perspective a little bit more. Now, the other resources we are endowed with. Do we need more grace? Anybody who says no here? Anybody who would say no, I don't need any more grace. I have had enough. Okay, enough of grace. I think one of the reasons we are all making acquisition of spiritual knowledge a priority is because we want to attract more grace. We want to understand the deeper principles around it, and then we want to attract God's grace. So answer would be yes, I would say. If somebody has no, we can talk about that. So answer would be yes. However, God says that have we utilized the ones that we have already received? That's a big question. And once we have utilized the ones that we have already received, then we can stake a claim that, hey, I need more grace. God, can you please give me more grace? So first, it's like hitting a jackpot or a scholarship from God. And when we start utilizing it, then we gain eligibility for more of it. So we can demand God in that case that we need more of it. Now let's try to understand it a little bit more. So there was a guy that he was very despondent in life, right? So he said that he was living in the small town called Aska, and then in the state of Odisha and in eastern India. So this guy, he was so despondent and disappointed with life, depressed in life, that he decided that I'm going to take a plunge into the river below, basically going to end my life, give up my life. It's like there's no purpose of life, there's no meaning in life, and I am so unfortunate person in life. And then he was asked, what are you doing? Can you stop? So he said that, uh, you know, I have made up my mind and I need to give up my life. And then the another person, he asked him that why would you consider such a cowardly act? And he said, Don't you know if you committed suicide, you would have to become a ghost in your next life? By the way, if you reject the body that God has given you like that, there's a big punishment for that. Basically, you go into Pret Yoni or Ghost Yoni for a while, and it's a very miserable existence. Okay. And then say if you reject your physical body, then you'll not possess a gross body in your next life, and you'll have to, just exist with your subtle body in that case. And it's a very painful existence. And because you would still have desires in your subtle bodies, but there's no way to experience this world. So it becomes a very, very miserable existence at that point. Now, hearing about that consequences, this guy changed his mind. But then he started sharing his pain. He said, You know what? God has given me nothing. He started complaining. I have only poverty and misery to look forward to in life. And that's the story of my life. Then he was asked, Okay, if you are given 50 lakh rupees, near $75,000, I would say, will you become positive about your future? And he said, Sure, I will. He said, All right, then let's exchange something from you. Give me both of your eyes and then take $75,000 or 50 lakh rupees. So he said, What? Do you expect me to be blind? I cannot give you my eyes. So that means your eyes are you already possess something which is worth more than 50 lakh rupees or $75,000, right? That sum of money. So you said God has given you nothing, but here I have put a price tag to something you already have, which a lot of people don't have. You already possess that. So then it was this dialogue continued. He said, All right, I'll give you another deal. 25 lakhs, let's do half of it, $37,500, and give me both of your arms. He said, Absolutely not. I would rather give my arms than your 25. I would rather not give my arms than, I would not trade it off for 25 lakh rupees. That means your arms are already worth more than 40,000 or $37,000 or 25 lakhs. And then if you keep on assigning values, he said, okay, take 1 crore rupees and give me your body, basically. And almost if you start counting all the organs of your body, it will start running into millions and billions at that point, right? But the problem is that although we have received so much for God, we have not realized the value of these gifts. It's only when something starts troubling you, or it's snatched away, or it goes away because of any reason, right? That story of a guy who was thinking of cataract in his eyes, not cataract, but some kind of a growth in his eyes, and he was told that we have to do a surgical operation and take your eyes away. And that's when he realized the value of eyes. And until he came to know that it was a mere cataract, and he could continue to see. And then that basically enabled him to see that grace, that the very fact that I can see the rainbow, or an eagle, majestic eagle in flight, or so many things in life, that itself is a huge grace. So sometimes we keep on forgetting that. So point here is that we are all billionaires, and I'm not stopping at that aspect only, because we will continue to build on it. But just to say that we are endowed with so many graces in life already. God has given us a body, and an able body, that itself is a huge gift. And it is said that only person who's bankrupt is the one who has lost inspiration or enthusiasm in life. That person is real bankrupt. Other than that, everybody can rebuild their life from wherever they are. And just having an able body itself is a huge grace and gift from God, and we should make the most of it in His service, and then we draw more of His grace. So, with that said, let's move on to our shloka for the day. We'll take three hands and then we'll get going. We'll recite it, and we can take three hands. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva shantim apnoti naishtikim अयुक्त कामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते.
Aparna ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे पढ़ना जी.
राधे राधे एवरीवन. युक्तकर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकं किम् अयुक्तः कामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते.
वेरी नाइस, थैंक यू पढ़ना जी.
Sandhya, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे संध्या.
राधे राधे. युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम् अयुक्तः कामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते.
Very nice, thank you. Let's take two more hands, then
Sam ji,
squeeze the
Radhe
number
Radhe.
of hands for the day. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe. Yukta phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti nishtikam ayukta kamakarena phale sakto nibhadyate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, very nice, thank you Samji. Okay, one more we can take probably.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe Riya ji.
युक्तकर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिम् आप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम् अयुक्तकामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते.
Thank you Riya ji. Okay, Uday ji, you want to say it? Let's take one more hand real quick and then we'll get started.
राधे राधे. युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिम् आप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम् अयुक्तकामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you Uday ji. So let's get started. In this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, offering the results of all activities to God, the Karam yogis attain everlasting peace. Whereas those who, being impelled by their desires, work with a selfish motive become entangled because they are attached to the fruits of their actions. Let's move on. Okay, this we have already done, so sorry about that. So here's our mind. And here is our world. Right, so you see one which is shining forth, that is what we are. And then the body in which we exist, and then our extension of the body, our friends, family, spouse, kids, family, parents, relatives, and other labels or tags that we carry in our life, right? This is our world. Now our mind is, have you wondered why our mind is naturally and spontaneously in love with the world and world related subjects? Do we know? Anybody other than Sandhya? She's a student who knows everything. Anybody knows? I mean, it doesn't take us effort to have that pull towards the world. It's like stone coming down under the influence of gravity all by itself. Anybody wants to answer that question? Why does it happen so naturally, so obviously, and so spontaneously? Yes, Samji?
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
The world is material and our mind, intellect, everything is material also. So they have the tendency to go
Right.
towards the fullness of the whole scenario.
Very true. So yes, our scriptures tell us that it is a sajatiya sambandh. Sajatiya means we are cut from the same cloth. Our mind is cut from the same cloth as this material nature. And there is a natural propensity or a tendency of our mind to get attracted towards something that it made up of the same cloth or same attributes or a similar type as it is, right? We also have that tendency. Let's say, for example, you've gone to Europe in some remote area of Europe for the first time, and all of a sudden you see somebody who looks like you there, and then it won't even matter whether that person is from Bangladesh or Pakistan. As long as that person's location, you'll feel a sense of belongingness, right? And then you come to know, no, by the way, that person is from India only, and then a little more affinity, and then you will see from the same state, may village and all that stuff. So we do have a tendency to get attracted, natural attraction towards something that looks like us or which is kind of the same type as us, right? Same thing happens with our mind as well. It is made up of material nature, and this world is made up of material nature as well. So there is a natural affinity that it has. It doesn't take effort for us to take our mind to the world. It is naturally and spontaneously in love with the material subjects. Now, taking it away from the world is, now we have to take our mind to God, right? That is a effort like swimming against the tide, or throwing the stone up in the air takes effort. For the stone to come down does not take effort. So we have to take our mind away from the world, but then taking it away from the world alone is not enough, because it will again come back to the world. Okay. Karam, your concept is to take it to God, right? So, but it's not a straightforward process, because your mind has a tendency to get attracted, have being attached to the world, and it will automatically come back there. So it will again come back to the world. That is very natural. So what to do basically? So let's try to understand this. Now, and it is again a conditioned state that we are in. It's a practice of endless lifetimes. Our mind is made up of material energy. They're of the same category, spontaneously attracted to the world. You don't have to teach yourself to get attached to your kids. Does anybody teach us? No. Does anybody teach us how to get attached to people around, parents and relatives? No, nobody teaches us. It just has an affinity for it, material things. So that is why our mind is in love with the material world since time immemorial. This is a practice we have done lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. The roles have changed, people have changed, souls who come and accompany us have changed, but the habit of getting attached to them has remained the same. And no matter how much external material we get, we'll still not get what we are looking for. And so there's a technical reason for that. Why? Because it's like fish out of water. You give it anything, you give fish all the crowns, jewels, and anything that it wants. Now, whatever things you think you can deck it up with, or but fish will say, I'm still craving for water. Because our soul is divine, until it gets its subject, its true food, it will say, no, I still need something more. And then our desire continues, because we are still not getting that perfect feeling. That desire will continue. It's like living on 99, like a cricketer who's scored 99, but that one run is not getting scored. Okay, that century is not getting hit, that aha is not coming. It's like, okay, only if I had this, right? So that desire will continue. And it says that trying to fulfill desire, body became old, but the desire remained young. Okay. So desire is something that can never be quenched. Very, very simply, as scriptures have put in, you can continue to put fuel to fire, but you cannot extinguish desire by trying to satiate it. It's a very simple principle. Our scriptures have told us it can never happen. In fact, it is said desire is even bigger than God, hypothetically. Why? Because even if you were to get everything this material universe has to offer, everything, still your desire will remain young, because you have still not tasted the divinity. Until you get divinity, it's like you're looking for water and you're trying to quench that thirst with some other things, right? It'll never happen. You need that thing that will truly quench your thirst. And desirous thing, it will never get quenched in this material world. It's a very straightforward principle. They say that you could possibly extract oil out of sand. You could possibly have grass grow on the shell of a tortoise. You could possibly extract, you can possibly pass a camel through the eye of a needle, but you cannot extract happiness from this material world. Okay. So this is the point here. Even though our intellect continues to, what do you call that, tease us that there is some happiness, even if it's a little bit of drop, even though it's temporary, I'm going to go for that, but there is no happiness. That's very clearly our scriptures have stated. Now let's move on. And like this soul when it shines forth. Okay. So is a mind. Now, no multiple minds like multiple fingers. Now, God has given us 2 ears, multiple hands, right? 2 eyes. But when it comes to mind, it's just one. Why? Because God knew that we are smart enough. If He had given us 2 minds, we would have said one for all my secret stash in the world and one for you. So God says, no, that will not do. I'll give you one, and then I will demand exclusivity. So first of all, you have to move me up the pack of or the deck of cards that you have, right? There's a priority in our head for everything. First comes my, this relative or this parent or this particular relationship, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then God is also somewhere. So he said, first, you move me up the stack, right at the top. And then secondly, take away rest of it. Okay, so that's essentially what he's telling. And then I'm there. I will reveal myself and then I'm yours. So he's not given us multiple minds. So if you think about it, one mind, it can either go to world or it can go to God. It's very simple thing, binary. And now mind in world means it's a person, object, or a thing. It has to be one of these. So it's not possible to not attach mind anywhere other than these two realms. Mind cannot remain in pending position. It has to be either in world or in God. Some people say, it's very difficult for me to take my mind to God. And then you say, so what happens? Are you taking it to the world? They say, no, no, no. It's not even going into the world. So it's not possible. It's either world, God, or world. There's no this because mind cannot, the way our chitta vritti is, chitta has to get attached to something. You cannot say it's in pending state. Okay. So it has to be attached to something. And then typically if it is in world, it will be person, object, or a thing. Now the way it works is, and mind in God is like this. So you need to keep on increasing your attachment in God. The detachment aspect will automatically happen. And as you see, this is the process basically. You need to fill it in. And this is the whole purpose of spirituality, where you keep on increasing the proportion of your attachment to God, and detachment will automatically take place in the world. And as your attachment to God increases, the other aspects of Panchaklesh, Tridosh, Tritap I'm talking about, they will start losing their effect or potency on you as well, right? If you're, let's say, 10% attached to God, 10% you have ridden yourself of anger, greed, lust, envy, and all that stuff. 20%, 20%, and then 100%, 100%. This is how the equation works. So God says, do your duty, don't allow the mind to be attached. This is the key thing. Karam Yoga is about attaching our mind to God. Continue to perform your duty, but attach your mind to God. Not going to be easy because of practice of multiple lifetimes, and we'll need abhyas and vairagya, both practice and detachment, right? And when we talk about detachment, when we attach our mind to God, detachment will automatically happen. You don't have to do it separately. You have to detach my mind from world and attach it to God. When you attach it to God, detachment automatically takes place. So this is how the process unfolds. Now the shloka says, this particular shloka, what is it saying? This shloka is saying that yukta karam phal tyaktva. Okay, yukta karam phal tyaktva. That means when a karam yogi does work without attachment, what happens? Then he gets shantim apnoti, or peace. He's getting peace. And what kind of peace does he get? It is nashtikim, or everlasting peace. Pretty awesome, right? If you can get an everlasting peace. Now let's understand it from a different perspective. So on one side we have time, and one side you have bliss, joy, peace, happiness. In fact, bliss is a combination, is a cocktail of joy, peace, and happiness. Essentially, what we are looking for, right? Now in the material realm, I don't know. So there are three possibilities of this bliss, right? One is this, one is this, and one is this. Anybody who wants to say what are these three possibilities and where are they possible? Anybody who wants to take that? See, it's not a quiz, but kind of a quiz. It's a conceptual question. Guddu is going to answer it. Okay, sorry, just kidding. Yes, Samji. Samji, you can start with 100 points in this Kahoot. Go ahead, please.
The first one is a material thing. With the time, bliss goes down and down and down. The third one is a spiritual thing towards the God. As
How
you
about
go
the second
along
one?
with the God. Right? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
How about the second one?
The second one, the peace. It'll be a constant thing, I guess. with the time, in case you are already attached to the God, or you are doing the karma yoga and all those things, so you will be always in the bliss and play happiness. I can think so. Allah, there is something
Okay.
twist in that.
Mhm. Yeah, let's have a little bit of fun. So let's understand this part, right? So this is material. This is the symptom of material happiness or bliss or joy, peace, happiness, whatever you want to call that. We'll talk about bliss here that we get in the material world. So it keeps on decreasing through our experience. We know that. We don't need any examples for that, but we, through our experience, do we know that, right? If you like to eat rasgulla, the first one will give you the most bliss, the second one a little less, the third one a little more less. So it keeps on diminishing. And economics, they say the law of diminishing returns, right? It just keeps on diminishing with time. If you really want to watch a movie, you will go there and watch it for the first time. You'll say, wow, what a movie. Second time you'll go, you will be like, okay, it was fine. Third time, fourth time, you'll say, okay, anything but that movie. So this is how it goes. It keeps on decreasing with time. Even when we meet somebody, right? Think about it, like when you go, let's say you're craving to meet somebody, and finally you meet your friend, and you'll go and you'll hug them. You'll hug them very tightly because you really felt good meeting them. But after a while, you'll be like, if that person keeps holding you, you'll be saying, okay, can you please give me a break, right? Are you suffocating me now? Okay. So same thing happens, right? Even with that, you will say, okay, after a while, you need a bit of a break. So in material world, this is how it goes. Yes, when people take intoxicants and they say, wow, what a wonderful time we had. Then what happened next day? Can you retain that? Maybe a hangover. Now you may have to suffer from hangover the next day. But regardless, you will not be able to retain the bliss that you experienced the previous day. So it keeps on decreasing with time. It is not lasting. Here we are talking about Shantim Apnoti, right? The everlasting Naishtikam, everlasting bliss that we are talking about. That's not the case. We have known it through our experience in this life itself. We know for a fact that doesn't happen. That is elusive as it can possibly be. The bliss, joy, peace, happiness, with time, it remains constant. I think it probably is, both of them are spiritual blisses. One of it is Premanand. It keeps on increasing, by the way. Premanand keeps on increasing. It's a very interesting concept, but it keeps on increasing because when you progress in bhakti, what God offers you is his bliss. And then as you keep on, progressing further and further, he keeps on bestowing higher level of blisses to you. And devotee keeps it offering back to God. God multiplies it, gives back to the devotee. Devotee offers it back to God. He multiplies it, gives it back. So a beautiful competition ensues at that point. And that competition, neither the devotee relents, nor God says, you know what, I have run out of the fund of bliss anymore. I can't give anymore. Okay, this is all I can give you. So it just continues. So the bhakti mein purnima nahi hoti. We have spoken about this concept. Now, and this one is also spiritual. However, this is moksha. You're done. Permanent Satchidanand, you have kind of merged with God, and then it stays flat, is how I've understood. I would like to double check it with Swamiji. I mean, is there a possibility of increasing it? But once you have attained the merged with God, it pretty much stays the same. In Premanand, it keeps on increasing. There is no diminishing of it. It keeps on becoming sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, right? Like molasses and jaggery and all the kind of different sweets. The taste keeps on becoming finer and finer. In fact, bliss is called the quintessence of the ras is called the quintessence of bliss. Like there's a word called ras, prem ras. It's a quintessence of the bliss itself, and that keeps on getting finer and finer and finer, and there is no end to it in the path of bhakti. And on the other hand, ayukta, a person who's not a yogi. Now here you are attaching your mind to God. So it owes the spiritual blisses that we had. One is a material bliss. The spiritual bliss is something, one who's a yukt. But ayukt is somebody who is attaching their mind to world, which is the state of most of the conditioned states. Because of our conditioned state, most of the people. So kamakarena, when the work is done with the attachment, phale asakto, such a person becomes attached to the fruits of the work, then this person becomes entangled in the work. So when we are doing it, when we are attached to the fruits of our action and not God, in Karma Yoga, the concept is relinquish the fruit, you do it for the pleasure of God and keep God at the back of your mind for everything. That attachment has to be deepened over time. But let's say we don't do that. That is our default setting anyways. Then what happens is we keep getting entangled in this world. And then the law of karma will take over at that point, right? If you are doing primarily sattvic deeds, you will get sattvic results in form of celestial abodes. If you're doing rajasic deeds, the material world. If you're doing tamasic deeds, the hellish abodes. So one who's a yogi stakes a claim for spiritual bliss. One who's not a yogi is still repeating in the material world because they are attached to the fruit and they want to enjoy the fruits for themselves. Yes, Sandhya?
A question and a comment. A comment from Prabhatji. Whenever I look at Rasik saints, I feel that the bliss is increasing in every next moment, at least in their case particularly.
True. So for them, that's a very true thing. And in fact, for them, it's like a pressure cooker. The whistle is there, but sometimes the lid blows off for them as well. Okay, occasionally, not all the times. If it would happen all the times, then they will not be able to operate effectively in this world. But when the lid blows off, it can happen. And Maharajji, it is called Ashta Sattvic Bhav. They can get into Ashta Sattvic Bhav where for them it is uncontrollable at that point. Their body can turn white, their hair can stand, and then their body can become elongated. There are bhavs which are called Ashtasattvik bhav. We can talk about that in one of the sessions. So their bliss is continuously increasing because they're tapping into the divine. We can't even understand what it would mean, right? And somebody said that, can you give me, he asked his Guruji, can you give me spiritual bliss? He said, you'll not be able to take it because your body is not capable of as yet, right? And this material body, if Guru or God were to give us divine bliss, we will disintegrate, right? Our heart as a antakaran or heart or our material heart has a God has kept thermostat on either sides. It cannot take pain beyond a certain point, and it cannot even take happiness beyond a certain point. On either side, it will collapse. And same thing, divine bliss is a very different thing altogether. I mean, as per the scriptures, that if you were to be given that, even a fraction of it will disintegrate. Right? So that guy was touched by his guru for a minute, not a minute, a little bit of a finger. And this guy was totally intoxicated for however many hours, I don't know. And that is the power of divine bliss. It was like just to give him a sense of that, what it means. Yes, sorry. You can go ahead. You read the comment and now the question can come.
Yes, thank you. So the question is, so if we see someone who appears to be detached in the material world, can we assume that they are attached with God? Is it possible that someone is detached from the material world and not attached to God?
Detached from the material, we don't know. Say detachment is also of multiple types. They may be having a bad day at office, but that kshanik viragya might be taking place, like it happened in the case of Sugriv. When Ram Bhagwan killed Bali, Sugriv was like, oh, what am I going to do with this? My brother got killed and I cannot, take on Kishkinda. My brother used to rule, and what am I going to do in my life now? Just take me along with you. So Ram Bhagwan said, Mitra, it is kshanik viragya. It's a temporary detachment that you have because of the phase you are in, at the moment you are in your life right now. So it is called momentary detachment. We also experience the same when we go to a hospital, or let's say you have attended somebody's funeral. You will also, "Oh, there's nothing to life. Finally, we all will go into mud. Who knows what's going to happen?" And that detachment happens to us as well in life. But then we get swept away in Maya again. So we don't know if somebody is detached. Is it something going on in their life? Or it could be Falgu Viragya, where they might be forcing detachment on themselves or not understood detachment properly, or they might be truly detached. But then if they are detached, then they have to be attached to God. There's no third way, right? They cannot say I'm detached from world and at the same time I'm not attached to world. They might be detached to one thing in world and attached to something else in world. But there's no third area, right? World God. That's it. So it's very difficult to know. God and Guru would know that. But the detachment could manifest in a lot of ways, right? And that detachment, we don't know if it is true detachment or is it just a momentary detachment or is it detachment to one aspect of world and not to the other, and stuff like that, right? That's why they say even when tears come, tears roll down our eyes when we are sitting in kirtan or thinking about God. That also has a lot of reasons
Types.
for that,
Yeah.
right? Why they are getting triggered, there could be tons of reasons for that. I mean, tears are good, but the reason behind that could vary depending on what's going on in your life. You could be mixing your tears because of somebody else, some other thing happening in your life, and it can all get muddled up. So they say that the true tears are the ones when Shyam Sundar will himself manifest in front of you and wipe it off your cheeks. That is the true tear. That is the quality of tear as well. That will also happen. But so we don't know. It's very difficult to know why somebody is feeling detached from the world, right? It's very difficult question. God and Guru would know that.
And there's a
Should-
request. Could you please show the previous slide from Krishna ji?
That is the only slide I can't show. So no, hold on. I'll go back. Sorry. Okay. Previous means this one you said?
I mean, that's what I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
Let me know when we're good to move. Now let's move on.
Yeah, I think we should be good to go. I mean,
Right. Good then. Now I wanted to talk about, and then I will get into that because we have the maximum. All right. We have the maximum attendance right now. That's fine. I wanted to talk a little bit about, and then I can come back. So it is said that no God, and no peace. And no God, no peace. This is the formula, simple formula. By the way, tomorrow, it's a person who has not learned to discipline the mind and senses can neither meditate upon God nor experience his divine bliss. Without the higher taste, it's impossible to renounce the lower taste, and such a person keeps on hankering for the material happiness. So the point here is that we have to give our senses a higher taste. That is the only way. Otherwise, your senses will say it's better to have material rest only because at least I'm getting a temporary enjoyment, whatever that might be. Senses need something to be engaged in. So, know God. If you know God, you will know peace. But if there is no God, there is no peace. And by the way, we will build on this concept tomorrow. It's a very, very important and a very profound concept because, and we will talk about global peace. Okay, I don't know where did this come. We'll talk about global peace. How do we attain global peace? We all talk about global peace. We'll talk about that tomorrow. By the way, since we have everybody, we'll come back to it. I wanted to reiterate some ground rules here. Okay, this is something that it is in consultation with other JKO centers as well. I don't know if it's just our session or other sessions as well, but these ground rules are drafted to tackle some of the situations we are seeing of late. Um, and it is in consultation with the broader teams here as well. Okay. So I wanted to just reiterate it. So these classes, they are offered as a loving service to share the divine knowledge revealed by Jagat Guru Kripaluji Maharaj and Swami Mukundanand. So if you understand, it is a pure seva that we have undertaken, right? It's an honor and a privilege to be part of this seva. And it's a loving service, right? It's like when you start sharing, that's the least you can do for what we have received from our Guru. Other point is like while most classes are offered completely free of charge, there are some paid classes as well for a reason, but most of it, as you see, our session is also free of charge. Participants, they have a responsibility to adhere to certain rules. If they want to enjoy the privilege of attending, so you're requested to kindly pay attention to these rules carefully. The first one is if a participant wishes to interact, must necessarily have their video on. The reason for that is we have seen instances in the past where somebody's impersonating some other person, a valid person, a genuine person, and sending messages, unwarranted messages which go against the decorum of the program. It's very difficult to know if it is a genuine participant or not. They will fake the name, send some messages in bad taste or publicly as well, and then immediately revert the changes. And it could be just one or two people, okay, only, which can spoil it for everyone. So as a ground rule, I would say if you want to interact or you're expressing, it's always a good idea to turn your video on so that we know who you really are. And you're welcome to air your opinions, right? It's not a one-way communication here. Please come if you have some dissent or some disagreement, or you don't agree to something, or you want to share something, please come on camera and say that, especially if you have something which can stir up a little bit of polarization, right? Now, the participant who shares negative comments may, at the discretion of class facilitator, be barred from interactions. We have had some scenarios, we had to do that. It's very unfortunate. See, these sessions are conducted for a specific purpose. We all are benefiting from it. So many people are putting in their time, their valuable time to make these sessions possible. And the least we need is somebody, trying to hijack these sessions through negative comments publicly or otherwise. So in those cases, our co-hosts, they have been advised to, bar them from interactions or remove them. And we have to do that, periodically in last few sessions. And if a class facilitator, they conclude that participants' motive is to create discord, discourage other participants, or any other ulterior motive, they can be permanently barred from all JK Yoga online classes without any explanation. So this is an extreme case. It has never happened so far, but of late that I have seen, at least in our sessions, there could be some, a candidate or two who've been trying to create some kind of a discord because of whatever reasons they have. But I wanted to reiterate these rules periodically so that we can adhere to it and make it a very, what do you call that, an enriching experience, which it already is, without causing any kind of a discord or, at the expense of the decorum of the program itself. Okay, so with that said, let's get back to our discussion. No God, no peace, no God, no peace. Yes, Harsimran, you wanted to add something?
Radhe Radhe. I wanted to, like, from the previous slide, certainly we are talking about the shloka, Sukh Dukhe Same Kritva Labha Labho Jaya Dev. So in the material life and the conditioning that we have, isn't it so that the sense of security is also one kind of attachment? We can say, like, if we have earned so much money and we have built
Yeah.
our house and it goes away, like, वो पूरा खत्म हो जाए, then is it not valid that we get like depressed or worried about? And then in that situation, how can we attain or be in that state of bliss of God?
True. I think we spoke about it, that Maslow hierarchy as well. Food, clothes, shelter is needed for most of the people, for them to even think about the higher pursuits in life, right? So if you don't have food, clothes, and shelter, your whole life will go around that. Okay, where my next food is going to come from, and how am I going to survive this harsh weather, and how I'm going to, meet ends in my life. So that can happen. Having said that, the ultimate goal for us is to become nirashrit. Nirashrit means no dependency on the means at all. No, like in the case of Draupadi as well, she was not nirashrit to begin with. That's a beautiful incident that have not a beautiful, I mean, beautiful analogy, I would say, where immediately when things were going wrong for her, she did not immediately surrender, right? She first looked at her ashray. Ashray means dependency. First looked at her husbands. Are they going to protect me? They are, one of the strongest at that time. And then she looked at her elders. And then when they also did not help, then she looked at Swabal Ashray, that my own strength, I'm going to rely on that. That also did not help because although she was one of the Panch Kanyas, her strength would have not stood in front of the Shasan. And then she finally surrendered. So the idea is finally we have to move towards that state where we let go of anxieties as well. There are a lot of bhikshuks, monks. They will simply go with a bowl in their head and they have that firm faith that God will arrange for it. And some people, they don't even eat grains. They eat grains which have already been dispersed and taken off the field and which is remaining. So different people do different because they have complete faith in God. Um, but God will take care of them, like they take care of birds and everybody. But that is a very high level of faith. But we have to gradually work towards that. I'll tell you a story. There was a lady. I think she was one of the queens. I may be wrong, in Jaipur or Rajasthan, and Maharajji went to her place and then told her that she was a big devotee of Maharajji, one of the earlier devotees of Maharajji, and he told her, "You start, you know." walking towards Vrindavan, come to Vrindavan, but take two saris and two gold coins on the way. She was a queen. Two saris and two gold coins. So she followed the instruction, but she thought, you know what? Let me take a couple of extra saris and a few more extra gold coins because I may need it along the way. It's a long journey. And she started with maybe 10, 15 gold coins and a couple of extra pieces of saris as well. And when she was going there, she thought, okay, let me, on the way, she wanted to freshen up and take bath. And when she stopped there and she kept her stuff near a tree and went to take a bath in the river, a monkey came and he picked up her stuff with the cloth and gold coins, and one by one he put all the gold coins and tore those saris as well. And when she came back, she had two gold coins and two saris remaining. The one that she was instructed by Maharaj, that told her that, okay, I was building, I need to trust Guru on that aspect. And finally, of course, she completed her journey and she was one of the first devotees of Maharaj Ji as well. But the point is, finally, we have to become Nirasharit. This whole anxiety that we build around us, creating, insurance policies and building a economic moat around us by through our bank balance and stuff is fine. But if you think about the big picture part of it, we have to get rid of that anxiety as well. That, okay, who's going to take care of me? Of course, God will. But it takes a lot of faith and surrender to not plan too far ahead and leave it to God. That He has my best interest in His heart, and let me focus on my present and do my best rather than creating situations in our head for future that may or may not happen, that goes against the spirit of surrender. It's an advanced concept for sure, but that is the end state for all of us. I hope I answered your question. Yes, Abaji.
Okay,
I just wanted to
doubt you have?
See, even one of the sages, he was telling that when your time has not come, nothing will happen. Even death won't come. Okay, whether you have food or not, the snake will come and they will just go over your body and slide past you. Okay, food will also come for you to be sustained. But then those people are operating at the spirit of surrender at a very high level. We are not there yet because of our conditioning, but at least we can start taking baby steps towards it without worrying too much, leaving things in God's hand, experimenting it in our day-to-day life, rather than worrying and just leaving it to God's hand and doing our best. So when we do that, gradually our faith will keep on increasing, and finally we'll start getting to that stage where we become fearless, anxiety-free and worry-free about these things as well.
Yeah, I
Think
just wanted to add
Swamiji.
this one.
Swamiji, yeah, now he gets food, but there were times when he was studying, he'd tell that he would keep a roti in his pocket, in case he feels hungry in night when he was studying, because he wasn't even sure he will get another roti or not during that night. They're also taking a big feat. Even now, he's telling us to take this and that. He's writing books on the science of diet and, take badam and take this oil and that oil. But for him, he's completely at the mercy of people. Right? Is his meal when people will feed him puris also without knowing is it even good for his health or not. He's completely he's left it to God, right? He doesn't look at whatever comes his way, he has to eat. That's about it. Right? He doesn't even keep dry fruit or stuff with him to maintain his health. So that is a level of surrender he's practicing too. Otherwise, for us, it's like, okay, if I don't take this or this supplement, my life or my health can go for a toss. But look at it, he's a live example of how he leads his life around some of the stuff that worries us. Yes, Sabhaji. Sorry, that took a little longer than I should have.
Radhe Radhe. Two questions maybe here. One, you were talking about tears, right? What if your tears have been dried up, right? Like, आते ही नहीं है. I mean, I'm just saying for, मान लो, I know some people might think it's a joke, but मान लो आप 15 साल में होता ना, कहते ना कि frozen हो गए हो, like अंदर से, then what? Right? I'm just, people might think it's a joke, but
No, it can happen. I get that.
yeah, it's reality,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
fine. I think it's perfectly okay right now. But if you think about it, bhakti path is a emotional path. Something will get unlocked at some point. Maybe some participants can talk about their story. It can happen. You may have frozen tears, but as you will progress, I'm telling you, our heart is like a cold wax. It will start melting. The moment the temperature will start getting raised, one day you will surprise yourself by sitting in a kirtan and you will not know why tears have started rolling down. It can happen. You may surprise yourself. And it is meant to happen sooner or later because it is a path of emotional. Because when our heart is like a cold wax, you keep on raising the temperature, one day it will start melting and it will start taking on the color as well. It will happen. You will not know why. And then you will say, how stupid am I? Why am I crying? What will people think? But you can't control it. It can happen. For some, it happens periodically, frequently. For some, it can happen occasionally. but it's just a matter of time before you'll experience it. Work towards it. In fact, there was a devotee of Maharaji who had heard it so many times from him that you need to shed tears, and this guy will not get tears. So this guy put a mirchi masala and one day, put some chili. So now I'll force tears out of it. Maharaji was said, "Oh, what are you doing?" But point is, it will happen. It could happen. Be patient with yourselves.
And then,
Something will
sorry,
get unlocked. Okay, you never know what could be. That could be a simple tap on your head or whatever. Something will get unlocked one of these days. You continue focusing on what you can do and just wait for it.
and then second question, you had that graph up for where someone is Premanand, right, in that journey. So recently a friend who is in that journey has been perturbed by her past, right? Someone stirred her past experiences and it became completely imbalanced, right? All of a sudden, there's no trust, there's no belief, it's been shaken up. How do you bring that person back to believing, no, whatever happens for a reason, right?
They need to have a little bit of spiritual orientation themselves as well, right? To understand the bigger principles around it. Now, past, what is past? How far back do they want to go back? 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years, previous lifetime, one more previous lifetime, maybe one more, a million. We all have a past, right? What do you call that? A saint has a past and every sinner has a future. So it's a God's mercy that he makes us forget. But then in this life, experiences we are not able to forget, right? So easily. Now it's important to look at it in perspective. We have learned from it, we have to move forward. But how far you want to go back? Just because you remember something from 5 or 10 years, is that going to define rest of your life? So those kind of things, I think that awakening has to come from within. You can't talk somebody out of it. They need to understand where are they heading, right? Even in a car, they say the rear view mirror is smaller and the front mirror or the windshield is bigger. Why? Because it wants you to focus more on the road ahead as opposed to looking backward. Quick check, maybe. If you want to learn something from what has happened in the past, that's the best way to look at it. But if you get into regret, frustration, some kind of a negative emotion looking back at your past or guilty and stuff like that, I mean, that's not worth it. We have to move on. It's good that God has made us forget our past. What if we keep on thinking about all the lifetimes, all the bad things we have done or the things that have happened? We can't possibly live in that case. So we have to move forward in that case. And they need to understand that aspect. Hopefully, they will also have spiritual awakening, or maybe as a friend, you can give them a food for thought. Maybe have them come join one of the LTP programs or start watching some of the videos. We don't know who will latch on to what movement, and then that could transform their lives.
Thank you.
Yes, I see Arnima raising hand as well. Go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I just wanted to add that, Abaji, I don't know if you have attended one of the retreats, our family camp, where the whole environment is more intensive and it's more devotional. That really helps. And if not, would like to invite you to Dallas for family camp. You can stay with us and attend the family camp, our retreat.
Yeah, Arnima takes the guarantee to make you cry, and it's a money back guarantee. So typically,
Yes.
I've seen people in retreats. It's a what do you call that? It's like an injection, spiritual injection experience, and I've seen a lot of people crying there. They don't want to get out of that experience. Why it happens is because when your soul gets that feel, which it has never experienced in the material world, just a trace of it can make you melt, and that can happen in retreats because you are exposed to that environment for an extended period of time without any external distractions, and that can happen in retreat. So many people, they don't want to get back to their homes after the retreat because they have experienced something. So come over to Dallas. I think it's a great idea, family camp or a retreat that could possibly trigger that um, tears or waterworks, and there will not be any looking back. Then don't complain, okay, what have you guys done? Okay, I can't stop crying anymore. It can happen too. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, so actually, this is what I also wanted to share. In fact, so Avaji, what you said, some people might find it as joke or funny. No, I can totally relate with it. And I had asked this to Swamiji before attending my first family camp. And he said, Sandhya, just come to family camp and you will see the difference. And I actually experienced it myself. So, meeting your guru can just do divine magic, seeing him also. So you have to experience it yourself and you will, as Nitinji said, you will
You would.
resonate.
It's just a matter of time. It'll happen, Babaji. Okay. It was a very esoteric concept for me as well until you experience it yourself. It'll happen. Yes, Shyamji, you wanted to add something?
Well, there is a comment in the chat window from Smita ji. She says, as regards tears, it's one of the Asht Sattvic Bhav. If not tears, the emotions may come out of some other way, other form.
Yes, that's right. It's a manifestation of what you experience actually. Tears can flow down, right, when you experience something very intense. And this is one of those experiences. Even a trace of it is pretty intense in that case. So yes, it's very true. Now there is Madhuji. I would really humbly invite you to come on audio or video today, because you have started sending comments to Madhuji. By the way, Madhuji could be a genuine Madhuji is here as well, but we have an impersonator who has picked up a name of Madhu from Madhusudan these days. So Madhuji, if you can please come on audio, that will be great. You've started sending me direct messages. That's not needed. And that the rule was probably designed for you only. So you have to come on video or audio, then we will entertain you. Otherwise, there's no point in sending out messages. We have already blocked chats here as well. Yes. Anybody?
This is my chat from Viral S. Is this journey only for Hindus? What about other religions, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism? Is there only one God for all of us?
Who's asked this question? It's a good question.
Viral S.
Yeah, Vijayji.
Viral S.
No, this journey is for, see, if you look at spiritual journey is not a proprietorship of a particular religion, caste, creed, or sect. Spirituality means the science of soul with God. Soul is a soul, whether it's a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Jew, doesn't matter. Having said that, each soul is on a particular trajectory, right? So you have students of different classes. Similarly, you may have kindergartners who might have just begun their spiritual journey. You may have middle schoolers, you may have high schoolers, you may have undergraduates, you may have postgraduates, you may have super postgraduates, postdocs as well. Depending upon that, God is kind enough to put you in a particular sect, caste, religion, situation, circumstance, family that will be conducive for your spiritual journey. So the message varies. When you are ready for a particular message, God will arrange that that message will resonate with you, or you'll be born in that tradition to facilitate your process. And if to put it simply, I mean, this is how the hierarchy goes. I've spoken about it multiple times. Where the message of Quran ends, Bible begins. Quran ends at don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. Bible ends at be good. Okay, become a good person, be good. So that's where Bible ends. Bhagavad Gita starts where Bible ends. It says being good is good, but not good enough, because it can at best take you to celestial abodes, the 7 heavens that Jesus spoke about. It can at best take you there. So being good is not good enough. You have to go beyond goodness, gunatit, and it ends at moksha, Bhagavad Gita. Where Bhagavad Gita ends, Bhagavatam begins. It says kaivat rahit dharam, the 4 duties which are bereft of any selfishness. That includes dharam, karam, arth, and moksha. So even moksha, leave aside moksha. Now let's enter the depths of bhakti. That's where Bhagavatam takes you. Where Bhagavatam ends, the finer taste of bhakti, you go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, read that. Where Chaitanya Charitamrita ends, how to do bhakti, the Roop Dhyan simulation and stuff Maharaj Ji talks about in Bhakti Shatak. So depending on what message you are ready for, you will be born in that tradition. We need to focus on our journey as opposed to thinking about others, because end of the day, God is one, and spiritual journey is soul and God. And God is a superlative term. There's no God, Godder, or Goddess. God is just one. You may call it with different names, but end of the day, journey, all paths will lead to not Rome, but Braj, if you want to. So yeah, Golok probably, or whichever lok, or whoever is your Ishtadev. So it's not limited to a particular religion alone, I think, to answer in short. All right. Madhuji, you have not come on, so that means we can safely, if there are two Madhujis, let's not remove her. But then if you could come, that will be nice. But if not, let's move on to our next segment, devotional segment. Do we have anything else?
In the meantime, Komalji is saying, and I would like to add, there is no reference between Guru Granth Sahib and Bhagavad Gita as the same meaning.
Yes. Yes. If you think about Guru Nanak, the Granths that Sikhs use, it's actually same. If you look at the underlying message, is essentially the same, right? He did it in Lok Bhasha to simplify it, not in Sanskrit, not in Devvani, but in Lokvani. At that time, Guru Nanak Dev Ji did. So yes, the message, if you think about it, at the depth, all the messages are same. Even in Bible, if you go to the deeper message, even Jesus had said that love God with all thy heart and all thy might. And loving God is a common denominator in all the traditions, if you think about it. Yes.
So there are two comments. Can I quickly read them? So one was from actually when we were having this discussion about tears. So both are related. So one was from Monica Di. She also said for Abhaji, family camp mein aao to sahi. So I think everybody is saying that from their experience. You have multiple invitations. And Manish Ji has also sent a message in the same context. Radhe Radhe, don't lament about the past, live in the present, and don't worry about the future. As for tears, I occasionally had tears, but after I met Swamiji last year, after waiting for nearly 16 months due to family health issues, and then Swamiji had hugged him. That was the best day of his life. He became a bowl of mush and tears now come whenever he's standing at his altar or just thinking about God. So it is all the grace of Guru.
Yes,
So
Avaji. Something can get unlocked and then there's no looking back after that. Yes, Shyamji, do you want to move to our next segment or one more comment maybe?
No, I have a question है for everybody. मैं कब से बोल रहा हूँ मुझे बुला लो और आज आप रोने पे मैं तो रोने से रोने रो आई कैन बात इन टीयर्स आल्सो आई एम ओके विद दैट आल्सो बट आज सब शुरू हो गए तो मुझे मत भूलना प्लीज आप लोग आई एम देयर इन द क्यू फर्स्ट वन देयर थैंक यू सो मच जस्ट किडिंग प्लीज डोंट टेक मी सीरियसली
and Abhaji just
Silence is serious.
messaged me. Sorry, Abhaji just messaged me, I'm coming.
My
There
goodness.
you go. It's the best gift you would give yourself, Abaji. I'm telling you. Don't even think twice. Come over. Yes, Shamji, and we can never forget you. Shamji is very special to us. Shamji and Samji, because they have been like when I started this session, I was like, who's going to come and why would they come? And they have been like throughout there. And Samji, I'll figure out some way to send you everything that you need. Start uploading it, and maybe we'll create a seva so that I can start re-uploading the documents that these session PPTs as PDFs that I used to. I just need to find somebody who can take up that seva and can help me do that periodically. But yeah, thank you so much. You guys are both awesome and very special to this session. I must say that right from day one. And I always get nostalgic when talk about that stuff. And I think about when we started this journey 3 years back. So thank you so much for that.
Samji,
Thank you. Thank you. You
It
sent
almost
us.
brings tears to my eyes, Shyamji, when you talk about it. So yes, Shyamji,
same
please.
here. भाई अभी आंसू है मेरी आंखों में I can't show but they're there trust you me.
Yeah, people have started talking about our bromance as well, but I know how special you are for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. You already sent the PPTs, but I was not able to open it. I think it was asking some kind of permission. I don't
I'll
know.
figure out what's going on there. So I'll try to resolve that issue for you.
And regarding the Shyamji, I think he should. Did he ever apply for the visitor visa? He should apply for the at least some kind
I
of
have
visa.
given
Maybe
him
he'll
3
get it.
options. He'll be here shortly. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I am
Okay,
sure.
so it's
I have
10:04.
no way out. No option I have to be there.
We'll take 2 recitations today, okay, real quick. We have to wrap it up at 10:07 or 10:06 real quick, just to stick to the time. Do we have real quick?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just need to go to the right side. Wait. I think this is what we need to do, right? Or
Right. And please fill out the feedback tracker if not already. And tomorrow we'll continue. We will talk about global peace as well. Pretty loaded topic. Diva, go ahead. Good to see you.
Radhe, Radhe, good to see you too. Just wanted to add something. My father always keeps saying he wants to come to Dallas. Please ask him to apply for the visa at least. He hasn't even applied. How does
Oh
he
my
want to go to
God.
Dallas if he's not even applying?
Yeah, this guy was he goes and complains to God. God, I used to pray
He's
for
always
you.
like, I want to go and attend events, but how?
So this guy complained to God that I used to pray to you for a lottery, but you never made me hit a jackpot. So God said I would have, but did you care to even buy the ticket to begin with?
Exactly.
to-
At least apply. I was applying for my visa 3-4 months ago. I asked him, let's do it together. He said, I will do it. And I don't know when.
Okay, we will speak to him offline on that, Shyam. You will understand what are your constraints. Let's quickly wrap up. Maybe 2 hands we will take and then wrap up our session on time. I know it's little
Anna
late.
ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे प्रथम साधना भक्ति करूं तब मन निर्मल होय राधे राधे मिले विशुद्ध भक्ति तब गुरु अनुकंपा तोय राधे राधे. One should practice preparatory devotion, which will result in purification of the mind. Thereafter, one will receive pure divine love through the grace of a spiritual master. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah. Sandhya, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. प्रथम साधना भक्ति करो तब मन निर्मल होय राधे राधे मिलई विशुद्धा भक्ति तब गुरु अनुकंपा तोय राधे राधे. जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. So Simran, Samiran, and Ria ji, tomorrow we'll get the first preference. We have to wrap it up. It's already a few minutes over. So with that said, thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe, good night, good day from my side. Please do fill out the feedback tracker if not already. And thank you again for your enthusiastic participation and engagement. Radhe Radhe, good night, good day. Thank you.